Hey guys, Coach Brandon Krause here. Today we're going to go over a couple of drills that are very our old trusties of Outlaws Boxing. Let's put it that way. I know there's a lot of coaches out there that will treat these drills like the nuclear codes that nobody should ever know, but I'm not of that frame of mind because I feel like just because you have access to this knowledge doesn't make you a professional by any means, but I want you to have this access so you can continue to get better, all right? So stay tuned. First drill that we have is a very multifaceted drill. It's one of our oldest drills that we do here at Outlaws Boxing. It's called our 3-punch combination drill. It really helps you with discovering where openings are in terms of your opponent throwing shots at you and where your openings become when you commit. You have to commit if you want to try to win the round, so it's a great way to learn these strategies your opponent's going to employ here in slow motion before you do it in full speed and sparring. All right, so first thing you need is a partner. Today I got my man Dylan. And what we're going to do is we're going to start in punching range of each other. I'm going to throw a 3-punch combination at Dylan. I'm not going to really hit him. I'm going to make it as realistic as I can in terms of my technique and my timing. And then the last one of those shots, I'm going to leave in the extended position, and this will be an opening. It is impossible to throw a shot at your opponent and not open up somehow, some way. So I'm going to discover where I open up, but I'm also going to try to limit that as much as possible. So let's give you an example. Let's say I ended with the right hand and I threw it with very poor technique. My other hand's down, my chin's up in the air, I'm off balance, right? So Dylan in this position could literally close his eyes and just start hitting me with whatever. He wouldn't have to earn these punches at all right? So let's say that makes me 100% open there. So let me throw it the proper way. I throw that same right hand, but I do it the way I'm supposed to. My defensive hand's in position. My chin is tucked into my shoulder. I have good balance. My chin is down. And now, go ahead, Dylan. It's not like Dylan can't find the openings, but he has to search much harder to find those. So let's say I went from being 100% open to being, I don't make up a number, 38% open, all right? Your goal is to get it as close to 0 as possible, but knowing that that is impossible, because like I said, you can't commit to a shot without opening it up somewhere. So in this drill, fighter A, that would be me. I'm going to throw a 3-punch combination at my opponent. The third one of those punches, I'm going to leave in the extended position. Dylan's going to come back with his own 3 shots. He's going to leave his last one out in that extended position. I don't need to stay locked in place like this is Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Like I said, anything that could realistically happen in the course of these 3 punches, I want you to practice. So let me show you a good example of that. I could go uppercut, hook, pivot, body shot. Could certainly do that. That's something that would applicably happen. If my opponent ended with a jab, I could do something like parry, right hand, left uppercut, body shot. That could realistically happen. Let me tell you what couldn't realistically happen. I couldn't versus that same jump. Here. 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 That would not take course in the places of those 3 punches. So you want to make sure that you're practicing as accurate as tactics as you possibly can. You have the drill designed in this circumstance to have 3 punches, but really, whatever you want to particularly work on, you can design the drill to fit your needs. It could be 2 punches, could be 1 punches, it could be 5 punches. Could be only left hand punches, could be only right hand punches, all right? Dylan, let's go through a couple go-throughs of 3 punches, and we'll just be doing our standard drill. All right, Dylan, let's limit it to 1 punch. So you saw when I limit to 1 punch, the pace accelerates, right? But it's still the same things you're trying to practice is where, when my opponent commits to attack versus me, do they open up? And vice versa, when I go to throw my shots, where are my openings become? And you can start to limit your focus when you're finally sparring and fighting to those areas that you've practiced again and again and again. Your trick is to make it as realistic as possible in terms of your technique and timing, not your intensity. And like I said, we're not really hitting each other either, all right? But it's a cool drill to to help you with different aspects of your boxing at different times. So another drill that kind of goes in that vein that we do here at the gym is called the pallet drill, all right? And in this drill, one of us is going to have an extended shot, the same extended shot the entire round. Dylan, you're going to extend out that jab. Now, Dylan is extending this jab out to me and giving me good, realistic technique. Defensive hand is up, chin is down, arm is into his shoulder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start right on the end of this, like it was coming right at me. And now instead of thinking about any shot that could come like I did in the drill before, I specifically deal with the jab. What could I do versus this jab at a realistic distance? So I can go parry jab, I can come up into the body, I can slip and come overhand, I can parry it out this way and come, I can slip to the outside and come, I can come to the inside with an uppercut. You know, you get the idea. There are many different tactics I can employ for that jab specifically. And don't think that I'm the only one getting work here. Dylan, who's locked in place, who's giving me that accurate technique, is reinforcing that deep in his mind. So that's why it's very important that if you're the one in this isometric phase of the drill, that you try your best to practice good fundamentals as much as you can, because you know what? When the going gets tough, Dylan's gonna go back to this technique if he takes the time now to practice it accurately. But if he was just waiting for his time to expire, checking his watch, talking about his arm, well, those are gonna be the things that he reinforces in his head, and we certainly don't want that. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're the one holding the isometric portion of this drill, your body's gonna start to hurt. It's gonna start to hurt pretty quickly. But part of the gains of this drill is fighting through that pain and sticking like you're a statue, like you're the palette that an artist works with, and that's why we come up with the name, the palette drill. So kind of the last drill that we have in the vein of all these is puts a little bit more real time into the motions. What Dylan's now gonna do is he's gonna throw a real jab at me, and he's gonna really try to hit me. Me, on the other hand, well, first and foremost, I'm gonna defend. But as I'm defending the jab, I'm going to study him. I'm going to study his distance. I'm going to study his timing. And I'm going to think back to some of those tactics that I was practicing when we were stuck like statues. And I'm going to try to put them into real time. And I'm going to practice countering his shots. I'm not going to counter the same way every time. In fact, I'm not going to counter every single one of his jabs. But what I am going to do when I finally counter is I'm going to pull that shot at the last second. And I'll explain that. I'll explain the rationale behind that in a second. All right? Dylan, start throwing that jab at me. So you saw I countered a number of Dylan's jabs, but I didn't counter every single one. You also saw that I didn't counter the same way every time. I practiced a variety of things. You also saw that Dylan was realistically throwing that jab at me, but I said that I was going to be the one that pulls the shot. Why? Why would we do that? Let's say this scenario. Let's say Dylan throws a jab at me and I come over the top. If I perform this accurately, Dylan is hit. There's no defense. I've out-timed him. So we're not going to practice a drill in which the opponent has no ability to defend. So that's why I pull that shot at the last second. And why didn't Dylan pull his shot? Because I am practicing counterpunching. And if he doesn't commit, if he doesn't give me that kind of energy, well, then I don't have any commitment and energy to steal, which is really the basis of counterpunching. So the guy on the lead will be trying to land the shots. Not crazy, not tricky, you know, not trying to make it complicated, but giving me a good environment that I can practice these moves. And then me, on the other hand, I'm pulling that shot at the last second because I don't want to leave my opponent defenseless. Here we're practicing the jab, but you can do this versus the straight right hand, the left hook, a body shot, an uppercut, whatever coaching tactics and strategies you have by design that's going to help you improve, all right? So practice these three drills. They all kind of go together, and in the order that we show them is also a good way to implement them, and I hope you got a good training partner. Like and subscribe.